Hey everybody, good morning. I kind of wanted to walk you through what it's like uh, for an actor, the process of setting up an audition and things like that. Logged in on my computer here on my laptop, and it usually starts with going through a casting site that I'm signed up for, and I'm signed up for several. Most of them I have to pay a monthly fee for to have my headshot and my resume and my reel on there. And what my reel is just clips from performances that I've given in film or TV. And so usually what I do is I will go to one of these casting sites and I'll plug in a specific search for either LA or the Pacific Northwest. I put my age, my gender, my my basic statistics, and then it'll generate a list of what projects are coming up that are casting looking for those specific things, and it makes it a lot easier rather than just responding to some general casting call. That it makes it better and it's more professional when I narrow it down to a specific thing, and if I fit that, then submitting for it. And then usually what I'll do is I'll send them my headshot, my resume, a link to my reel. So what I'm doing right now, recently I submitted for something. It's a Pacific Northwest project, and I got an email back from the creator. I think the guy's also directing it. And a lot of times those emails, what they are, there it is the project creator or the director or the casting director will respond back and give a more detailed description of the character. They'll usually send a side, and what sides are is a small piece of the script that they want you to perform at the audition. And this one, the audition looks like it'll be either the first or second week of December, and so I've got plenty of time to think about the character, get it in my head, memorize the lines. And often I struggle with memorizing lines because, like I said in one of my initial vlogs, I have a hard time concentrating sometimes, and it's real hard for me to turn off all of the noise in my head and focus on that. But once I start being able to get into a side or a script, I'm able to really shut all that other stuff out and focus on that. So I'm glad that I have a lot of time on this one. Let's see, this character profile. Let's see. And then this is usually the next step after I submit for something on a casting site, or this one was a referral from somewhere else, and so I emailed the director and said, hey, I saw this and I'd be interested in these two roles, and I sent him my headshot and everything, and he got back to me and said, you know what, you'd be great, for this one role. So that's what this is all about. This guy is described as initially the villain, but I guess he kind of comes around. Let's see. He's a manager of a punk band. It seems like kind of a futuristic society where some things have happened, and I don't want to give too much away. that's part of this process here. I don't want to give too much away. But it's kind of a futuristic society, I guess, and things are a lot more, I guess, tightly controlled, I guess is the best way to put it. And this guy is this band's manager. Let's see what else. This guy is he sounds a lot like me in my everyday life. So that's good. It shouldn't be too difficult to pull this off. Uh, he kind of sees these guys that he's managing as how he was when he was younger, and he's older now, and he's a bit jaded by the world. It looks like. So that's cool. That'll be a fun audition to do. So then the next step from here, is typically to email the director or the casting director back and say, okay, yeah, I'm interested in this. Yeah, I want to move forward with this. For auditions in LA, mostly being up here in the Northwest, because I do occasionally travel down to LA. It can get difficult at times, because if I don't have money in the bank to travel, then I can't travel. Last month, I had the opportunity to go down to LA and audition for a project that was wanting real father-daughter combos. My daughter wasn't able to travel. She lives over in Idaho. So I had gotten back in touch with the casting director and said, look, my daughter's not available. What about just me? And they were like, well, yeah, that'd be great. But then I wasn't able to get down there. Some scheduling conflicts. I had the money in the bank to travel, but just scheduling conflict. And so yesterday I got an email from the casting director again, and they wanted me to come straight to callbacks. And usually the audition process, you have an initial audition, and then if they have 50 people that they're calling in to audition for a role, they'll usually take like their top 5 to 10 and say, okay, we want you to come to callbacks, this second round of auditions. And so what this one was an invite to come straight to callback audition for that project. Well, my schedule is such right now that I wouldn't be able to get down there. They wanted me to come down there this coming Saturday, the 4th of November. And I'm not able to get down there on that day. So I sent an email off to the casting director last night, said, hey, my schedule's changed since we initially spoke. I'm not able to get down there. And I haven't heard anything back. I probably won't. It's really not worth the casting director's time that if they give somebody a second opportunity and they're not able to get down there. But what I had suggested was, hey, can I do a self-tape audition? And I haven't gotten a response back from that yet. I probably won't. Some casting directors are okay with sending in a self-tape, others not so much. So we'll see. I mean, I look at it from the point of view of, if they really like me for the role, then, we'll be able to work something out. But typically, I mean, unless you're an A-list star, or, you're a really known name, they won't do that. They'll just kind of move on. And so that's really what I'm expecting with that. It would really surprise me if I got any word back and they said, okay, yeah, go ahead and send in a self-tape. A lot of my auditions in LA are self-tapes. But occasionally I do travel down there for an audition. Over the summer, I spent 2 months down in California. I set up a list of goals that I wanted to accomplish. There were auditions that I wanted to get. I wanted to take some training. I wanted to get new headshots done. And so when I went down there, I did all of that. And I had some really good auditions. The quality of the auditions that I had down there were top notch. They were major projects, including one for Robert Kirkman, who does Walking Dead. But this was for another project that he's involved with. I didn't get that role, but just to have an audition like that for somebody of that caliber was just really cool, and it was a huge accomplishment. So that's basically the process of what happens, from start to finish. There's the communication, usually the emailing back and forth and setting everything up and getting those sides, and then now it's just a matter of me preparing. And then, like I said, I'll go in for this audition in the first or second week of December. They may or may not do callbacks on this one. They may just, from that point decide, okay, we've already seen what we need to see, and I'll either get an email that says, yeah, we like you for this role and we want to offer it to you, and at that point it'll be up to me to say yes or no, and I'll say yes. I mean, I typically do. Or a lot of times what happens is if you're not picked for the role, you usually just don't hear anything at all. They won't get back in touch with you and say, you know what, we liked what you did, but we're offering the role to somebody else. I mean, every once in a while, once in a great while, I'll get an email back like that, but typically it's just you don't hear anything at all, and you try to move on. I struggle with that sometimes, the moving on, because as an actor, you invest so much of your time and so much of your energy and so much of your emotions into even just doing an audition, that for me, every once in a while, I have a hard time just letting go of that and moving on. I go through a period of mourning, I guess you could say. But eventually I get over it and I move on to the next one. That's just part of the game. So that's the process of what it's like going through the auditioning from start to finish. So I'll, as things go on here, I'll post more about it, and then we'll see what happens with this. Like I said, I've got a whole month to prepare for this, so I have no excuse to not be prepared. And I'll be able to get this down. So I will talk to you guys all again soon, and I hope everybody has a great day.